Chocolate Smoov and Chappsticc present Breaking the News. So here's your host, Chocolate Smoov.
How's everybody doing? I'm here with
Chappsticc.
We are here, and we are going to break some news, people.
Breaking news.
So just recently, TC Palm, Chappsticc, has put out what I'd like to call BS. And not necessarily that it's BS, it's just the fact that these people reported that, and I'll read the headline because the headline is what scares you. And the article itself for this is so freaking long. This lady decided to write it so long that you get so bored. You don't even read the end where it basically debunks everything she wrote about. Okay? And I'm not going to say the name of the person out of respect, but TC Palm is the people that posted it, and it was a reporter from TC Palm. You guys can go look up the thing, and you guys can do whatever you want and respond however you want to whatever names you find in the article. So, the headline: sometimes chimps just starve themselves to death in fighting welfare violations at Save the Chimps. Okay, now.
That automatically makes me think, so wait, they're starving themselves?
Yeah, so this is a quote that they pulled from what one of the vets said there when they talked to them. Now, they had a little issue. They said that they were cited for 12 Animal Welfare Act violations over the past 5 years. Okay, first of all of this stuff that this person wrote about was settled 18 months ago.
That's almost a year and a half.
Old news.
A year and a half
right?
ago.
And this was already covered in the news. Everybody already knew about this, right? It was already done and gone. Then this lady tried to bring up some old news that was useless. Now, in it, they address, and we're just going to address certain things in it because there's some facts that, like, so people aren't going to read the whole article, so we're going to clear it up, and so you guys know what the deal is, right? So nobody can panic.
We're going to give you the too long didn't read.
Exactly. So, and I read the whole thing, and I don't even read. That's how frustrated I was.
He can't read.
So I can barely read. I learned how to read just so I can read this. So they address a situation that was there about two chimpanzees, Tiffany and Tuffy. Now, me and Chappsticc, and you'll hear it in the podcast, and we actually went and had a chance to meet these chimps, and not Tiffany because of what happened.
Yeah.
But we did meet Tuffy, and we did meet some other chimpanzees. Now, Tuffy was, and we even spoke about it, was one of my favorite chimps.
He was just a cool dude. He had his little stool. He just wanted to like hang out and talk with people.
Yeah, he was raised as a human being because this guy, who is one of the guys that they interviewed that's complaining about, so the guy who owned Tiffany and Tuffy, right, basically trapped them in a house, put them in little cages sometimes, and made them live like human beings. They learned how to do things, work in kitchens, and do things, and they basically just lived in his house with him, and he didn't have a real habitat for him, and it was just this big BS guy who basically kidnapped two animals and put them in his house, and then when he couldn't handle them anymore, he gave them up, or maybe he got in trouble for having them, who knows. I don't. I didn't even look into this guy because when I see his face, I want to punch him. But he gave Save the Chimps Foundation the Tiffany and Tuffy. They got there and they were trying to integrate them and Tiffany and all them into the system. Because the reason why he supposedly says he gave them to him so that they can live a normal chimp life. Which, if he never had them, they would have done that already.
Right.
In the first place, right? So this guy can go
wild animals.
Suck it, right?
And, like, they shouldn't be.
He's complaining that he wanted to let them live the rest of their life as chimpanzees. Well, he can suck it. Because he's the one that caused the problem in the first place. And then, when, I guess a couple years went by, or a year or something went by, and they couldn't integrate them. Now, Tiffany, the story is that they're claiming that the vet was trying to do things, but at the very end of the article, they make it very clear that the caretakers were not arguing with the vet. They did everything the vet said, and then this guy miraculously quits before Tiffany had to be euthanized. And the reason why she had to be euthanized is because she wouldn't eat. You can't make something eat. She wouldn't eat. She was getting lethargic. Didn't want to be around other chimps. She was getting a little aggressive. And by the way, when they got Tiffany and Tuffy, they were beaten to shit basically.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
Tiffany was an abusive girlfriend to Tuffy because, like, she would just beat the crap out of him, and that's why they had to be separated. But
Tiffany
when,
herself had damage already, so
right,
this guy might have been hitting them, might have been,
who knows?
disciplining
Who
them.
knows?
We don't know for sure, but he's already a bad person because he took them in the first place.
Did they hurt themselves?
And maybe they hurt themselves because they're in a home and they don't belong there, and they're like, this is so confusing. And now they basically were brainwashed that they were people. And then they tried to get integrated in, and they're like, we're not anything like these
They had
things.
nothing.
They had nothing in common
to do with the chimps at all, and even they tried to, give Tuffy a different girlfriend, but even he just wasn't interested in her at all.
Yeah, and now and they are still trying to integrate Tuffy,
Right.
but he likes to do his own thing. He likes to be by himself. He's there, but they are trying to integrate him so that he can live that life. It's not that they stopped all of a sudden.
It just takes time.
It takes a lot of time because these things are wild animals, and you can't just throw a chimpanzee who's a lot weaker, never grew up a way a chimpanzee did, doesn't know that community. What this chimpanzee is going through is like if somebody threw us in a cage, in a habitat, not a cage because they don't live in cages, but in a habitat with a bunch of chimpanzees, and I don't even speak chimpanzee.
Exactly.
I mean, this thing was raised like a human, so it doesn't have any of the mannerisms, and so
it doesn't know the body language. It's never been around other chimps, and it doesn't know. So the minute it walks in there, and another chimp starts to bow up, Tuffy might get hurt or even killed.
He might not even know how to respond because generally you're supposed to also bow up and show your dominance. But he's like, even the difference. What is crazy is that the damage this guy did to Tuffy and Tiffany was because when we walked up to the other chimps, these things were coming up. They slamming their chest, smacking everything because they want to show you the like, look at how strong I am,
look
right?
At me.
So you don't mess with them, and then now you guys are friends.
Yeah.
It's all cool, right? Now, Tuffy, we walked up to him. He was like, hey, what's up? And then walked over to a stool for him to sit at and a stool for you to sit at so you guys can talk and he can entertain you and you can entertain him and have a conversation, essentially, with this chimp. And he didn't do any of the mannerisms that chimpanzees did.
No,
because,
not at all.
Again, this guy basically kidnapped them, raised them in his house, and now, so this is the issue. And this is the thing that they don't say in the article is how hard it is now to integrate Tuffy into that. And I can vouch, and I know Chappsticc can too, is that these people are amazing people that are doing this. And they are trying their very best. And they are all people who know what they're doing. And
they really just care about the animals. They're trying to do it the safest way possible. You don't just let a veteran who has PTSD walk into a gun range. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's a therapy session. Like, they don't know how to act like regular chimps. So you have to slowly integrate them so nobody gets hurt. The chimps don't get hurt. You don't have to deal with, why did you let these chimps die or tear each other apart? Well, nobody wants that. So the whole point of this process, it's a process, is to make sure it's safe.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but because I want to stop on that point, but it is a process. So if you actually listen and go back and listen to the podcast that we had with Sarah, and she is actually cited in the article, but Sarah even explained a story, and it actually was a truly amazing story, is the damage that some of these chimps have is, even when they're put in the habitat and all the chimps accept them, they have chimps that haven't even left concrete or their home for years because they're too afraid because the grass confuses them.
It's really just a
They're
psychiatric ward, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
mean it's literally they are trying to make it's literally they're trying to help these chimps and say and instead of like you're a human, I need to show you how to be a normal human being. These are humans trying to show chimpanzees how to be normal chimpanzees.
It's reconditioning. That's what
So
it is.
it's not an easy thing. So what this guy who basically kidnapped chimpanzees and then either got in trouble or realized that he was in over his head and gave these chimps to them. First of all, that guy can go choke on a big fat one because he's wrong and it's his fault in the first place. So he needs to just shut his mouth and sit in his chair and be quiet. And the thing is that now to touch on now that's that situation with that, right? We actually kind of touched on a few because one of the things that they talked about was how the vet guy said that they weren't following recommendations, and he said that after 6 months, I had to quit before Tiffany got euthanized because I just couldn't handle it more. First of all, what kind of person lets something go for 6 months when if you saw something like that?
Yeah.
And then you're going to miraculously quit right before something happens when everything that happened was on your name and it was your
Your watch.
recommendation, so you just didn't want to get in trouble for it.
Right.
Sounds pretty sketchy to me.
And by law, they do have to follow everything that the vet says to a T. So that's by law. If they were doing anything wrong, that's because the vet said so, or the vet made a mistake. That's again,
100%.
it's not like they had any choice. So
Yes.
it's not something like
And also they have it. The Save the Chimps Foundation has reservation, has even after all this, when they probably weren't in the wrong, still came forward and said, you know what, there's definitely some things we need to do better,
that. Oh yeah.
and there's some things we need to work on, and we are working on them. But in regards to all the other stuff and the medical attention and all that, uh, that's on the vet, and that's not on the caretakers. Because these caretakers, first of all, the vet is not there with them every moment of their pretty much. I mean, Sarah has been with these chimps for the last 15 years.
Of their life.
And
That's their
of
life.
yeah, I mean, and it's like in so it's these these caretakers literally they don't take off work, they
They're
don't go on
volunteers, half of
vacations,
them.
I mean it's a really
I'm
you
pretty
know
sure all of them are volunteers, actually, aren't they?
no. No. They're some of the volunteers. They actually last year I was reading in the article that they actually had to let go of a bunch of people that were preparing the food and all that, making the toys up and stuff like that because they just couldn't afford it. Now that to me, and now all the people that do that now are volunteers
Right.
or the caretakers. So when after they're done doing their whole day, shoveling poop, cleaning out, putting in new bedding for them, giving them new towels, taking care of them, entertaining them and talking to them and making sure they're all okay and because these things are like people, so they have emotions and if they're not feeling good, then they need to go. Hey, what's wrong? What you doing? How they understand English, so they're going to most of them at least, and so they have to make sure that they're 100% and that those chimps have everything they want.
I think Sarah put it best when she said it's a retirement home for chimps.
100%.
Yeah.
So they're over there doing that, and that's like, and they're there all the time. They sacrifice their lives to be there to make sure that these amazing animals have the the best life that they can.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, and which I think is actually crazy, and the person that wrote this article, I can't even believe
I just don't agree with you.
not even a little bit. And I don't even know how
agree
you
with
can write something. Basically, they tried to like put down Save the Chimps by saying, okay, well, this year they spent $2 million over what they raised. Next year they did another they did another $1 million over what they raised, and the next year it went up. And they were basically complaining that they're spending more money than they raise, which the funniest thing about it is too, it's a privately owned place, right? So it's not only donations. Now they only take donations, but the other money that comes from is from the person, the amazing human being, that actually, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember your name, but you are an amazing person.
Look it up on
And
SaveTheChimps.org.
look it up. But I mean, this lady spent all of her money. She
Yeah, no,
bought the
it's
reservation. She bought the land. She built everything.
running
She's
dry.
still putting more money of her own money into it to make sure that all these chimps have stuff. And then this lady made it look like it was an issue that she was putting her own money. What? She's not allowed to donate her money too, but you can ask other people to donate? That's insane.
I just don't agree with
That
this
is
article.
yeah, it's the craziest thing. And then when you get down to the bottom of the article, this lady spent like 10 paragraphs on basically shitting on Save the Chimps and making them look like they're the I mean, they're being cruel and blah blah blah. And then at the last two, she only gave 2 paragraphs for them to explain where they explain themselves. And in the explanation, it explains that the whole article is BS. First of all this stuff, they got cleared. I want to make it very clear that the USDA did investigate them, 100%, which I freaking hope so.
No charge.
You know what I mean? I hope that the USDA is doing their job and going to all these places and making sure they're being run correctly.
Thank God the government is actually working.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're doing your job. Great. But after they went through and they found all these things that the supposed allegations, they got cleared of all of them.
Not one charge.
Every single one of them was cleared. So this vet guy who quit, that opened up his mouth, he can shut up. The guy who's sitting in his rocking chair who basically kidnapped chimpanzees and made them live in his home, and now they have to suffer because they don't even know how to be chimpanzees anymore.
Shut your
That
mouth.
guy's shut your mouth, dude, and go sit in your little chair with your house that you basically ruined chimpanzees with, because we hate you over here at Chocolate Spoon Chapstick. And to the TC Palm, you guys should have. I get that you guys wanted publicity and you guys wanted people to you needed some traction because maybe you guys are just losing followers or something because you're a newspaper and that's the most irrelevant thing on the planet now.
Yeah.
TC Palm never should have even published this because, first of all, and whatever, if Chapstick thinks I'm slandering, but I think TC Palm should have never even posted it because it's irrelevant information.
That's right. You're right.
You're bringing up things that are completely irrelevant just to make somebody look bad. And it's not okay. For an end note, because I'm getting aggressive and upset.
Yeah, we need to cut this short.
So
to
end this off and to just be clear, me and Chocolate Spoon Chapstick are still going to support the Save the Chimps Foundation.
100%.
And we have their backs 100% because they, one, are not bad people.
Beautiful people. They work hard for these beautiful animals, and they actually care. God dang it, I'm getting choked up.
Everything about this article was BS because they were cleared. All of everything was dropped. Everything was dealt with, and they were not charged with anything. The USDA cleared them. The government cleared them. To the people that wrote this article, it's just unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
And not cool. To the people that Save the Chimps, we just want to say thank you for everything that you do. To Sarah and all the staff over there. Lisa, who's awesome and amazing. She's the marketing manager over there. And everybody over there that is putting in the hard work and really doing everything you can to provide a good life for these chimpanzees. We thank you very much, and we hope that we can continue to raise a bunch of money for you guys so that these chimpanzees can put some pants on.
Heck yeah.
Cover them butts. So thank you very much. That was just a short little rant about the TC Palm article that came out. about the Save the Chimps Foundation. So thanks. If you guys want, go read it, and but read the whole thing.
Yeah, don't just stop in the middle because it you'll be like, what is it? At the end, it all comes together. It's a whole thing. Take it as a whole.
Yeah, and if you also want, you can go to savethechimps.org, and they have an article there that it actually, in better words and than what this article says, they didn't respond to it because they've already dealt with this, but there's a response that was probably posted like 18 months ago to all of these things. It's all on there, so you guys can check it out. And while you're on there, go donate, go buy some bananas.
Yeah, it's only $25 a case.
Yeah, go buy a case of bananas for $25. That's like,
That's your shoes.
yeah, go instead of going to Walmart and buying shoes.
Well, that's my shoes.
Go and spend $25. Give them some bananas.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that is not a stereotype. Chimpanzees. So, yeah. So we love you guys. Thank you for listening. And TC Palm, come on, guys.
Get it together.
Get it together.
Later.
Deuces.